So we were discussing cloning vectors, and I showed you the example of two cloning vectors, if you remember, PBR322 and PUC 18 or 19. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So then we discussed that if we digest the plasmid PBR322 with EcoR1, if you remember, and we discussed that the PCR product is also digested with EcoR1, then what are the possibilities? You remember that? And then we discussed that, so for example, this is the plasmid PBR322, this is the EcoR1 site, and let us say this is the genomic DNA. We have digested the genomic DNA also with EcoR1 and plasmid PBR322 also with EcoR1. So once we join them with the help of an enzyme called T4DNA ligase, so we do not use E. coli ligase, if you remember, because it is not that efficient. On the other hand, the ligase from bacteriophage T4 is very efficient. So the ligase that is commonly used for routine cloning purposes is T4 DNA ligase. This can ligate the two fragments or two inserts. So in this case, this is the vector PBR322 cloning vector digested with EcoR1. So you see it has linearized now. And this is the genomic DNA which is digested with EcoR1, which is giving you different sized fragments. Now when we join these two fragments, there are three possibilities. Possibility 1, that the fragments will self-ligate. Possibility 2, that the vector PBR322, this one, will self-ligate, right? And possibility 3, that the insert, that means the genomic DNA shown in dark blue, gets ligated to the at the EcoR1 site, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So then we discussed that what kind of colonies are we going to get. So figure number C can give rise to colony, figure number D can give rise to colony, but E will not give rise to colony, right? And E will not give rise to colony because E doesn't contain an origin of replication, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Now the point is, when we try selecting this on ampicillin and tetracycline plates, both C and D will form colonies. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So in this case, when both C and D will form colonies, so then the question comes that how to identify the clone, right?
Yes.
So then the point is how to identify the clone, because it has vector self-ligated, it has a vector plus insert, both are there. So in this case, do you have any idea how to identify just by seeing at the colonies? Can we do something or no?
So, ma'am, just by saying at the colony means you were saying that we have that bacteria, and we are saying that bacteria, and then we have to say that whether there is gene inserted there or not.
Right.
So in that case, we can use GFP tagging, and if the cell is in intact form, then if we can use fluorescent tags.
Okay, so in fact, in this case, when you want to identify the clone, so if you have, so there are a few possibilities. So for example, if the gene of interest, right, if the gene of interest is fluorescent, or if the gene of interest is an enzyme which can be assayed by some activity assay, so for example protease assay or lipase assay or something, so in such cases what you can do is you can screen the colony based upon fluorescence or based upon live colors, right, or based upon enzyme activity. So in such cases it is possible, but many a times we try to clone the gene which does not give a visible color or a visible fluorescence. For example, the gene of interest can be for some therapeutic, for example erythropoietin, right, or granulocyte colony stimulating factor, or for example any other gene for replication. So in such cases there is no visible assay to identify the clone, right? So in such cases, class, so let us look back at the sequence again. So the first sequence that you see, PBR322, has EcoR1 site which is actually present in between ampicillin and tetracycline resistance gene cassette, right? So what you can do is, now listen to me carefully. So what you can do is, instead of EcoR1, you can select any other sites. For example, you can select BAMH1, you can select SAL1, you can select NRU1, you can select EcoR5, R5, you can select SPH1, or you can select PST1, right? So in such cases, right, in such cases it is very easy to identify the bacterial strain which contains the desired gene of interest, and that is why PBR322 is called a cloning vector, because using this cloning vector you can discriminate the bacterial cells where the vector has self-ligated versus the bacterial cells where the vector has ligated with the insert, simply by growing them on different antibiotic plates. So for example, if the insert is cloned at PST1, then what will happen is the ampicillin resistance gene cassette will be disrupted, right? So in such cases what you can do is, if you transform it on a tetracycline plate, so if you just spread it on tetracycline plate, then both vector self-ligated and vector plus insert will give colonies. But now what you can do is, you can pick individual colonies and then streak them on ampicillin plates. So in this case, the colonies which do not grow on ampicillin are the ones which contain the insert, whereas the colonies which have grown on ampicillin are the ones where the vector has self-ligated. Likewise, we can use tetracycline resistance gene cassette for screening. You can use, for example, easily you can use BAMH1, and you can digest the genomic DNA with BAMH1 or SOW3A1. So BAMH1 is compatible with SOW3A1, BAMH1 is compatible with MBO1, BAMH1 is compatible with BGL2, and it is compatible with itself. So any of these genomic DNA, you can use any of these enzymes to digest the genomic DNA, right? Clone it at PBR322, digest it with BAMH1, and then transform it, and then select the colonies on ampicillin resistance plates. So again you are going to see two types of colonies, one where vector has self-ligated and one where vector has taken up the insert. So now what you can do is, you can pick individual colonies and then spot it on tetracycline plates. So the ones which do not grow on tetracycline plates are the ones which contain the desired clone. Is this clear or not clear?
Ma'am, it is clear.
Okay. So the advantage of PBR322 is that you can use either of the drug cassettes, and that is why the drug cassettes have been prepared in such a way that they contain these many restriction sites. I will be talking about in a while like how we can incorporate restriction sites in a gene sequence in a second. Let me first explain something about PUC19 or PUC18. Okay, so now what you see in PUC18 or PUC19 is that the multiple cloning site actually is located in the gene which actually is present in the, which is internal to LAGZ, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this actually requires a little more attention again. So now I'll be explaining you alpha complementation, which Vishantan was asking me the other day. So, so what happens is that LAGC, Okay, maybe I'll explain from there and then. So LAG-C actually encodes for beta-galactosidase. Okay, and beta-galactosidase is an enzyme which when present can actually convert utilize xcal as a substrate, and it will make the colony blue. Okay, let us see this carefully what exactly it does. So this is the substrate which is called xcal, and this is the enzyme beta-galactosidase which is produced by LAG-C. Xcal, the full form of Xcal is this one, 5 bromo 4 chloro 3 indolyl beta D galactoside. So this is Xcal. This is the substrate for the enzyme beta galactosidase. Beta galactosidase, when acts on Xcal, can lead to formation of this compound which is 5,5-dibromo-4,4-dichloro-indigo, and as the name itself says, indigo, so this actually turns the colony into indigo or blue color. So what people did was, it was found that this beta galactosidase actually consists of, it exists as a tetramer. Okay, so this particular enzyme exists as tetramer, and each of the monomers, they actually consist of two fragments, the two subunits rather. So each monomer consists of two subunits. One is called alpha subunit and the other is called as omega subunit. So the alpha subunit is encoded by, maybe I'll write it here in case. So beta galactosidase exists as, and each monomer actually consists of two subunits, alpha and omega, right? Now, right, so now what people have done is, the alpha subunit is present at the N terminus and the C terminus. Okay, so what is that from the, and this enzyme, so this is encoded by a gene called LAG-C, and this LAG-C present in the E. coli chromosome. Okay, what they did was, they removed the N terminus LAG-C from the chromosome. Now tell me what will happen. There is so much noise outside. So N terminus of LAG-C, if it is removed from the chromosome, then what will happen? LAG-C. Are you people listening to me or gone?
Yes, ma'am, we are listening.
We are.
Ma'am, maybe we won't get the indigo color that we were getting in the previous case.
Right, so you will not have actually functional LAG-C, because the N terminus of LAG-C, which encodes for alpha subunit, is missing. Up to here it is clear.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Now so that is constructed is called as CH5 alpha, and this strain, and it is the fifth strain, alpha.
Ma'am, we cannot hear you clearly.
Yes, ma'am. Your
You
voice is
cannot hear
missing.
me. Actually, I do not know. It's only 9:18. We started at 9, and this is the fourth flight which is going. I do not know what has happened.
No, no, no. Just 10 seconds or 20 seconds we couldn't hear, and now we can hear.
Now you can, okay. I thought it's because of the flights and then they are doing some construction, the Avanti houses. Okay, so where should I start? So is it clear that the end terminus of LAGZ was removed from the chromosome, and this was done by a scientist called Douglas Hanahan, who constructed this strain of E. coli, and this is the most commonly used strain class which everyone globally is using. Mane every lab is working on DH5 alpha, which was constructed by Douglas Hanahan, which has the alpha subunit or alpha fragment deleted. Now the question is, what is so special when we delete this alpha fragment? Why this strain is commonly used throughout? Every lab has this strain globally. I mean, right from Australia or New Zealand to US, everyone is using and everyone is working on this strain. So the idea is that what he proposed, right, this alpha subunit can be cloned in a plasmid, right? And this plasmid was actually PUC19. There are a few other plasmids as well in which the alpha subunit is cloned. Now what happens is that this alpha subunit supplied from a plasmid. Any gene or any enzyme is produced from a plasmid, and when it complements with E. coli, I mean with the chromosome, then it is called as intrans, right? So a subunit when supplied from a plasmid intrans, then it can lead to laxi, okay? And then functional laxi, you can form functional beta galactosidase. Form functional galactosidase. Then if you spread on an X-cal plate, then you can have X-cal as the substrate, and the beta galactosidase will convert X-cal into the blue compound. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what is shown over here, that plasmid encodes N-terminus of beta-galactosidase, which is the alpha fragment. Host strain, that means the chromosomal DNA, encodes the C-terminus of beta-galactosidase, which is the omega fragment. Beta-galactosidase function is only seen in the presence of both N and C-terminal fragments, and it can be monitored by cleavage of X-cal, which yields a bright blue product. Now let us look at the map of plasmid PUC19 or PUC18. So this whole process that I explained you just now, this is called as alpha complementation. Alpha complementation. So it is the alpha subunit of LAGZ, which can be complemented from a plasmid in trans and can make functional beta galactosidase, and that is why the whole technique is called as alpha complementation, because it is the alpha subunit which actually is complemented, and finally you have the omega and alpha combining to form a functional beta galactosidase. So that is why this PUC19 or PUC18, they are called as alpha complementing plasmid vector. Alpha complementing plasmid vector, because in this case you have ampicillin resistance gene cassette, you have origin of replication, and you have LAGZ, but it is only the alpha subunit of LAGZ. Okay, and this alpha subunit has multiple cloning site for gene cloning, right? So now the question comes that when we have this multiple cloning site, so the next question is how we can have LAGZ spanning this multiple cloning site and still LAGZ is functional. I mean the alpha subunit is functional, point number one. And point number two, how we can utilize this multiple cloning site and how PUC19 can be utilized as an efficient gene cloning vector. So for example, let's answer the second question first. So for example, the earlier case, we were digesting the chromosomal DNA with EcoR1, correct? PUC19 is digested with EcoR1. Now again there are three possibilities. PUC19 will self-ligate. Possibility 2, PUC19 will ligate with the genomic DNA fragment. And possibility 3, the genomic DNA fragments will self-ligate. Now please tell me, how are we going to screen the colonies? Yes, Ashi Ragdesh,
Yes, ma'am. So for screening the chromosome, we can do restriction digestion, and for any of these with any of these enzymes, and when it will be digested, then then that gene will not be functional, and we can know that.
Ashi.
Ma'am, after performing the digestion, I guess we'll have to test it on the plate as test it using the antibiotic as well.
इसका मतलब nobody is following. Okay, so let me explain you one more time. So okay, tell me, alpha complementation is clear or not?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Ma'am, can you explain it again?
इसका मतलब you people are also busy in preparation. Should we stop the class here?
No, ma'am. We are
I
not doing
mean,
preparation.
it is clear.
Okay,
In
then
the sense, yes, ma'am, I
explain.
can probably help him out with it.
हाँ.
So basically, ma'am, could you please go to the slide? It would be easier.
Which slide? This one?
Yes, ma'am. So what happens is when LAGZ is functional, at that time it would give you an indigo color when beta galactosidase acts on it. But in the cases when the like the N terminus is disrupted, in those cases the gene won't be functional. Sorry, the LAGZ won't be functional, and the color, the bright blue color that was obtained in the end, is lost by us. So, in order to fix this, we try to use a plasmid, and the plasmid encodes with this terminal and helps retain the color. As in, after using the plasmid, you would get back the blue or the indigo color that would happen in the original case when LAGZ is functional.
Right. So the plasmid that we use is, for example, PUC19 or PUC18, and what you can see is that the LAGZ
Ma'am,
shown
I'm saying
here,
I'm
it
saying that LAGZ is already not in a plasmid.
no, इसका मतलब कुछ नहीं सुना. So I told you, let's go back. Douglas Hanahan का strain. See this. So what he did was, the LAGZ consists of two subunits, alpha and omega. So the alpha subunit was deleted from the chromosome, and the strain was named as E. coli DH5 alpha, where DH is the name of the scientist who constructed this, and it is alpha because the alpha subunit is deleted. So in E. coli DH5 alpha, the LAGZ is not functional because the alpha subunit is deleted, and omega subunit alone cannot form a functional enzyme. Is that clear or no?
Ma'am, that is clear. But in this case also, LAGZ is in E. coli. So, okay. So in this case, it is in chromosome.
Hmm?
In this case, it is in chromosome, not in plasmid. Right.
What is in chromosome?
LAGZ.
Which part of
Uh, which part of LAGZ? The complete LAGZ means
complete
the
life? I
N
think
terminus and C terminus.
I think Ashi, there is no point in having the continuing with the class. I guess you people are. I think your mind is occupied. Is that true or no? Otherwise, I will end up explaining everything many times. Tell
Ma'am, I
me.
guess. we'll be watching the recording again as well, and maybe when Ratnesh watches it the second time, things will be clearer for him.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
I have no problems in explaining it many times. I mean, I'm okay with that, provided you people are here or you people are busy in other things. It is absolutely fine. We can have class another day. We can have extra class when you people are available. Pratnesh, Ashi.
Ma'am, I guess that would help the others as well who wanted to attend the class but are preparing right now.
Okay, so maybe I'll stop the recording here. And is that fine,